who have brick and mortar buildings, and they're all the time saying, you need to come out and you need to check out my building. They know what I do, and they're like, can't you check this? You know, should I have a camera here? And are there some other items I should have in place at my business to protect myself? And I'm like, yes, this, and this. So it just kind of evolved by itself. So anyway, that's what I do. There's a little bit more about me right there. I also just wrote a book this year that hit #1 the same day that it came out. I did not write the entire book. I wrote a section of the book. So yes, very exciting. This year, 2022, has just taken off for me. So very exciting. And I'm working on book 2. It's going to be in print pretty soon. So it's already out.
Good.
So I teach lots of intelligent awareness, which is situational awareness classes. I teach firearm classes, and the business security assessment is what I'm doing now, something new to do. So we're going to talk about several things: retail theft, business security, and home security. There are lots of things I could say, but I am going to try to shorten this. I can talk, and I can talk a lot. So we're going to stick to what's on the slides, which would be sometimes hard for me to do. So we're going to talk about 9 different crimes that occur in retail spaces. One of them, of course, is shoplifting, which is the big one. Robbery and attempted robbery, unauthorized intrusion and burglary, money fraud, payment card crime, which is your credit cards, checkout fraud, which is people swapping barcodes for items. I remember that was a thing back in the 70s. It wasn't barcodes, but back then it was tags and stickers on the clothes and items in stores. People would take one off and put it over here. Yeah, it's been going on forever. Parking lot theft, trespassing, and vandalism.
I'm way too honest.
Well, that's a good thing. Being honest is a good thing. So, to prevent shoplifting, you can do lots of things. Certainly, cameras are, the way to go nowadays, right? So, if you don't get it on camera, who knows what happened? Nobody knows. I do think it's interesting that a lot of people will have cameras in their cars now, when you're driving, in case somebody hits you from behind or hits you in the front. I'm like, what has this world come to where we have to have cameras for every single thing we do? But it is the way that things are going. You have to prove something happened before you can, get justice, it seems like. Of course, tagging products with, alarms like they do a lot of the stores. How many of you have ever been shopping and you had one of those electronic tags and you got home and they hadn't taken it off and you had to go back to the store and get it taken off? See, all of them. Always. Yes. And I think the deal is with those tags is if you break them off yourself, it puts a dye on your clothes, right? So you can never, it will never be what it was when you bought it. So take it back to the store. How many people do you know that have been trained on the job to take those tags off? I mean, it should be every employee who works in a store that has those tags should be trained on how to take them off. I have seen some poor clerks checking people out who just could not get the thing off. And, I don't know how much training they have. 10 seconds, 2 hours, I don't know, but they're trying. Another thing is to report the incidents as they happen. A lot of people are like, I'll do it later, I'll tell my manager later, I'm too busy, my line is too long, I'll do it, in a little bit, and then nobody tells, and it gets forgotten, and it does not get reported. As with anything else with statistics, it's very hard to get those numbers if nobody reports the thing, right? So I know one thing my stepsons were really good at. They both worked for grocery stores here locally. First week of training, it was shoplifting training. I mean, they were like acting like almost like security guards. I'm like, this is crazy to put that on a 16-year-old child, but they did. And one of them was really coat full of meat, walking out. He would chase them down. I mean, he was serious about his job. gives them a better way to figure out what's going on in their stores.
You gotta swipe the other
Oh, the other way. Sorry. Go towards me.
Yep.
There we go. All right. So robberies.
Can I comment on that
Absolutely.
last loss prevention tidbit?
Absolutely.
So, actually, prior to getting into the security space, I sold retail point of sale and inventory control software for NCR. And one little tidbit is that it's like 65% of all shoplifting is internal.
Really? I did not
And
know
when you
that.
talk to a small business owner, like I did for 20 years, they would look you dead in the eye and swear they have the most honest employees, they're salt of the earth, they would never. Bullshit. They will steal from you because,
They don't feel like they're getting paid enough.
correct, you're rich and living the dream and they're not gonna miss this $20, they're not gonna miss this sweater.
Right.
Merchandise goes out the back door with the trash. They got the most amount of time to figure out where your security gaps are than a
Right.
professional shoplifter coming in and trying to hit you for whatever. Just a little tidbit on
No, that's
along the
good.
way.
That's good, yeah. So you all feel free to comment. This is not just me talking to you, okay? This is a new branch for my company, so I can always learn from everybody's opinions. All right, robberies. The use or threat of force or attempted threat. You know, that could be, give me what I want or I will take something from you. Like you just said, you know, give me some more money or some stuff may just end up missing out of your inventory. Of course, it impacts your stock. You think you have 10 of these and you have 8 of these because somebody's taking the other 2. If a robber steals cash, of course, it affects your profits. Crime can affect employee morale. So if your business has a lot of shoplifting or other types of crimes, you might not be able to keep employees very long. You know, they may be scared to come to work. They may be like, this is not a safe place. I don't want to be here. Of course, it can always affect the consumer's feeling of safety. Same thing. I don't want to shop at this store. I don't feel comfortable. Well, what can you do to make your employees and your shoppers feel more comfortable? There are some things you can do. Unauthorized intrusion and burglary. That's what the cameras are for. So at least you can see what's happening. Of course, that's entry without your authority with the intent to steal. Prevention can be with the use of alarm systems. You could have alarm systems that actually make sounds when they break the door or break the window or whatever the item is. Or you could have silent alarms. I don't know in your practice if you know about the silent alarms, if you sell a lot of that, but I've heard that that is a big thing that's up and coming. It's not to make so much noise that the bad person breaking in would want to run away. So if you have a silent alarm, it's like they are really caught in the action if the police can get there in time. Owners of businesses can direct more money toward mitigating these risks with backup cameras and recordings and all that kind of stuff. So if you have a camera, that's great. Where's the video? Where is it going? And is it backed up somewhere? I love that. I actually watched that security guy's presentation from Newport News because I was like, yep, I'm all over that. Backed up, the backed up, the backed up. And it's all off-site and, you know, different places. So just because you have a video does not mean that somebody can't break in and steal the video, right? So
Another thing on the video, and again, in the electronic security space, the inexpensive video camera systems that you can buy at Sam's Club, from Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart. Be careful. They will obviously watch and record things going on in your businesses, but if they are not of a commercial grade and they do not have a watermark on them, they are not admissible in court of law.
Interesting.
Oh, see, I did not know that.
Yeah, and if the cops can't see a good picture, I
Right.
watch a lot of 48 hour, the first 48. They can't, if your camera's not good enough to get a good picture of the person who's standing in front of the camera, it's not worth having the camera.
Well, I don't know who's a news junkie, unfortunately, I am, but was a congressperson out in California who's recently reported her guns have been stolen out of her house, and they have a video image of the suspect. It could be me. I haven't been to California in 20 years. I mean, that's just how grainy and poor quality the image is, and unfortunately, and it's a reality. We all live within our means, and we have budgets to do these things, except the federal government who makes the money. But, you know, the lower end, generally, you're gonna get what you pay for. But that watermark is a huge thing. If you are planning to use that as any type of evidentiary product to present to a judge, if it doesn't have a watermark, they'll throw it out because you basically could manipulate it.
Never thought about that. That's good to know. You made me think of something else we'll get to later. Well, I'm gonna say it now because I'm thinking about it. Some people have said, I do not agree with it, but some people have said, just put a camera up. Even if it's not recording anything, just put one up that makes it look like you're recording something. And I'm thinking, if you're gonna go to all that expense to get a fake camera, get a real camera. Don't do that. Don't do the fake thing. Go get a real camera. And get some kind of service that backs it up. Not just you only have it, it's live right now, and you have no backup recording of what happened. You're gonna stay awake 24/7 and wait for something to happen? No. You need a backup. You need a recording, and you need a backup for it. All right, so money fraud. Money fraud and counterfeit cash. I have never, luckily so far, run into any kind of counterfeit cash, but I hear it happens all the time. And so we have the markers now. You can mark on the dollar bill that shows something to tell you it's counterfeit. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but a lot of retailers in the UK came up with having a lot of fraud because of counterfeit cash. So they had bad checks, they had counterfeit bills, and they had stolen credit cards. I've also heard in the US that there are, and if you ever look at the back of a gift card, they're actually hiding the barcode now because people were scratching off the barcodes when they're sitting in the store at Walgreens. Take a gift card off of the stand, scratch it off, use it, and put it back. Yes, and it worked. Because I mean, it's a gift card, you can use it anywhere. So I bought a gift card one time, about a year ago, and trying to make a purchase with it, and it told me that I had already spent the money. And I'm like, it's a brand new gift card, I just got it. Someone actually gave it to me, a Visa card. And they were, no, it's denied, it's denied, I kept denying it. So I called them and they were like, you've already used up this card. I just took it out of the package. I have never used this card on anything. And they said it had been used already. So I had to fill out a claim to get my brand new gift card reinstated to me when I had never touched it before. I'm like, these guys are smart, very, very smart. So what can you do? Check for counterfeit bills, do not accept cash, do not accept stained bills, which I thought was very interesting, and ask for ID. How many times do you go to a store that anybody ever asks you for your ID anymore? Never, they never, and I don't know why they stopped doing that.
Because they don't touch the credit card. I mean, you just go bloop, 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 and then it's all done.
Yeah, but still, how do they know that that credit card is yours?
Oh, I know.
You know, I mean, we have blonde hair, it could be me. I mean, they don't know, they don't look, they don't check, and sometimes I will actually hand them my driver's license and say, please check this, and just look at them, and they're like, oh. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I used to bartend for about 7 years, and what you can do if you say CID, even if you put CID on the back of your card, they have to check it.
They just didn't even care. It's like they didn't even look. I'm like, Nobody looks for your signature on anything like that anymore. And I don't know why they're getting away from that. I just hand them my ID and say, I would really like it if you check this. And they just look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, you should get in the habit of checking people's IDs. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I have the privilege to use my father's credit card sometimes, and it's set like with his permission, but it says Edward is his first name, and nobody ever asks me. Like, the only thing I always think is like, if they ask me, I'm gonna say, oh, it's my dad's, here's my license, you know, it's got the same name on it. They never ask.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know why we've gotten away from that.
My son went to college with my credit card. He used it all over recreation. No one ever asked him. No one ever stopped him.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the point of sale technology has moved away from actually handing it to the cashier who had to swipe it on the keyboard to the pin pad customer facing. Now we don't have to hand it to anyone.
Right.
And so it's kind of awkward and not the greatest experience for the customer if they say, may I see your card, may I see your ID?
Right,
Don't want to offend anybody.
right.
Yeah.
And the whole chip thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was supposed to be the next thing that
Security
kind of,
level,
you know, prevented fraud. But if someone stole this, that card's gonna work just fine until I call and turn it off.
Right.
Well, you know, I know American Express for some reason seems to have a lot of people hacking into their systems, because I've had my American Express used when the guy in California was nowhere near Virginia, you know, buying things on Valentine's Day a few years ago to several people. I don't know how many girlfriends he had, but he bought like 10 different sets of roses and candy all over the place. And my husband, he's so funny, he got the statement, he looked at me and he was like, what in the world are you doing? I'm not doing a thing. So yeah, found out somebody got my number, and you know, they do it all the time, right? People get your credit card number. It's probably just a random machine that's giving the number. They don't have to have anything. That's how you order things online. But it's getting very, very crazy. So when that kind of thing happens, how many of you, let me say this, how many of you check your bank accounts on a regular, at least once a week?
Oh, God.
Mine's like almost every other day, just to see what's going on out there.
Do I have enough money to pay my? Do I have to transfer money from somewhere?
Yes, yes.
No saying.
Yeah, all right, so payment card crime is talking about credit cards. We kind of already touched on this. Use secure chip cards only if you can. I have one credit union that I belong to that still is not into the chip technology. I don't know why not. They're just a very small credit union that just have not got their credit card is, but not their ATM card. I think I'm gonna be like,
But anybody could use it, right? So the chip's not any better, so why do they need to invest?
I guess that is their idea, but their credit card has it. So it's like, if you have one card that has it, why don't you just, anyway.
Yeah, the credit card they have with Visa or
They
one of
do.
the others, so that's why they have it on
The larger companies.
Mhm.
So use a secure chip and PIN number. Do not make it your social security number. Do not make it your phone number. Do not make it your address. Pick that PIN number, something, whatever. Birth dates, no. Check cards for start and expiration dates. Check for signs of tampering. Not sure how you could, I know, right? Other than the fact that I use it a lot, so the back of it's wearing off. Match the card to the printout. If you get a printout, so many people don't even have that because we're doing everything electronic anymore. Nobody matches his signature because they're not looking at the card to see if your signature matches your ID, right? We're getting away from all of that now. If something looks crazy, call your bank company or your credit card company. How many of you, when you go on travel now, your credit card company may deny something because you're out of state and they don't think it's you? I think that's fantastic. It's annoying, but it's great. You know, every time I go out of state to visit my family, I make sure I call the bank and say, it is me, I'm going here, I'm coming back on this day. They're like, thank you so much. Oh, because I've been caught in an out of state place with no money now because I didn't tell them. And they blocked my credit card and,
I've been caught, I've told them where I was going, how long I'd be there, and my credit card still didn't work.
oh, okay. I have not had that happen yet.
You don't want it to happen.
No, I do not, no. A coworker of mine, his wife went to China and they blocked her credit card. And she literally had like $100 cash to spend a week in China. It was not good. And he was on the phone a lot yelling at people, trying to get them to release things to give her money because she had no money. I mean, it was just a really bad situation. Of course, this was 15 years ago, but it was really nerve-wracking for her. I mean, it was just terrible. So, checkout fraud, we talked about swiping barcodes a little bit. If there's anything that has an actual paper sticker on it, people are switching those around. Deliberately failing to swipe a product at your self-checkout. I don't know anybody who does that. I would hope people would not do that.
Okay. 30 minutes.
Okay. Sweethearting is employees giving discounts to people they know or walking out the back door with something because they think it might fit somebody else. Prevention, how do we do that? We train our staff to monitor the checkout screens, and they do that really well where I shop. Whether it's Kohl's or Macy's or the grocery store, I notice they scan something and they look at the screen. They're really making sure they've got it all. Make a rule that sweethearting is not allowed. You would think that would be normal. Everybody should already know not to give your friends items for where you work. So parking lot theft. How many signs do you see in parking lots that say we are not responsible for things, it's on you. Make sure that you don't keep things in your car that might be of interest to people. Let's see, employees' cars are stolen frequently because of the extended time in the lots. That's a shame. Holiday shopping. How many people go shopping and put something in the back of your car to cover up your bags and your presents that you bought? Am I the only one? I take a blanket. It's not a huge blanket. It's a blanket. It covers up everything I buy so nobody can look in the window and see what it is.
I just keep blankets in my car anyway, because you never know.
I do in the
if or
winter.
when something would happen.
I have a whole safe bag thing that I carry that's got stuff in it. Trespassing. If you don't have a no trespassing sign, do you know they can still come on your property? Do you have a no trespassing sign outside?
No, we just have about parking.
I didn't notice. Yes, ma'am.
So that's also for private residents?
Yes,
So we had car
absolutely.
break-ins in my neighborhood, and because it wasn't posted, do not, trespassing, no, that he wasn't breaking any rules, because my car was unlocked.
Oh, man.
So he just, went into the car, there was nothing posted.
Huh.
So that is, yeah, like we have a few
Ridiculous.
people in the neighborhood that they have the sign that says private property, no trespassing. And I used to be like, oh gosh, thanks for telling me. Like I had no idea your front yard was yours, But then I had this thing happen, and that's what the police officer said. Technically, someone can walk all over your property if it's not posted, no trespassing.
And did they steal something out of your car?
That time around, he had not, but he left his phone in my car.
So you stole from him.
So
Were they going to sleep in your car?
he was harassing the neighborhood for quite a few, for a significant amount of time. Someone had it on camera.
Good.
You know what I mean? Like, so the whole case was built around all of the evidence, but online.
He left his phone in your car. Is that one of these stupid criminal?
Yeah, because then, what the picture was he and his girlfriend.
Yeah, he wasn't thinking clearly. So vandalism and nuisance, that just kind of,
Which car did I leave it in?
I know,
right? Of course, it causes major costs for the company because now they have to clean it all up. What can you do to prevent that? Increase the amount of security. Everything is about security and security cameras. Actively log cases as when they happen. And if you don't have one, you can talk to me and I can help you come up with one. Most of thefts occur using a door or a window that was broken into in the middle of the day and nobody saw a thing. So some thefts occur using the ramrod method, which is using a car to break into a store. I mean, we've all heard of that happening. Yeah, let's just see what we can do to destroy the place. Some businesses turn off their lighting at night, not recommended. keep the lights on. People don't want to break in if they know that they're going to be seen, right? If you see somebody walking around your building in the middle of the night, or somebody sees anybody walking around in a store in the middle of the night that should be closed, they should be calling the police. Security cameras. You could talk about that all day long, I think, Mr. Tim. So, wide-angle cameras cover a larger area, which makes sense. Exactly what you just said. High resolution is way better than buying the cheaper things. Pan, tilt, zoom cameras can do large areas and they can focus in on where the action is actually occurring. And many retail centers use those cameras to monitor parking lots. How many parking lots do you see now that have the blue lights like at the college campuses? It's crazy. You can't go in a parking lot even during the middle of the daytime without being harassed by somebody who's trying to panhandle, who wants money, who wants food, can't get home, I don't have gas money for my car, you know, all kinds of stuff. So if you're ever in a situation where you do not feel comfortable going to the parking lot or getting to your car, what's the first thing you should do?
Find a security guard.
Go find a security guard, go back in the store, find a store manager and say, I don't feel comfortable, this is what I see, would you please get your security guard to walk out with me? If they don't have one, get another store employee to walk out with you. I've got a whole nother class on that, so we won't go through that today. I've got a couple of things I did want to touch on inside your office. So how many workplaces do you know actually create a safety and security plan? I'm creating one in my office because we don't have one. When you have new employees, what do you tell them about your building? Do you tell them anything? Do you show them where the exit doors are? Do you tell them how to get out if there's an active shooter situation? It's not always in everybody's orientation, and it should be. So, something to think about. Controlling access to your door. Some buildings still do not have access with like a card reader. You guys have your doors locked, which is perfect. Some places I've worked at just recently finally got the card reader system that you can scan in to get into the building, which is crazy to me because I've been there for a very, very, very long time and anybody off the street could walk in and there's nothing to stop them. Improve your parking lot. Put lights and security cameras like we talked about. Consider getting a security guard, especially in the winter. If you are a retail place and you sell products that would be great Christmas gifts, you might want to hire a security guard even just for the Christmas holiday time. Secure valuable equipment. Can't tell you how many firearms dealer shops that I've heard of that have left firearms on a display table at night. They don't do it anymore. So put things away that are very valuable. Protect your sensitive data. We're not going to get into cybersecurity here today, but protect it, back it up, use a system that you feel is reliable. That goes with cybersecurity. Reduce injury risks, make sure that your walkways are free and clear of any obstructions. Account for internal threats, kind of talked about that for a second. Conduct employee safety training, which is what I mentioned first off. If you don't have rules for your employees as to what to do if there's an active shooter or just somebody coming in off the street that is not welcome there, what do you tell them to do? Give them a plan. If you don't have a plan, let me know and I'll help you make one. Why is that important? Because you want your employees to feel comfortable. You want them to feel confident and feel like they're working in a safe place. It will increase productivity. You will have cost savings. You will have fewer insurance claims, reduced turnover. The client impression is huge. If your employees know what to do, your clients will be very happy about that. If they are there in a meeting and something occurs, you could have fewer disruptions. So, safety for your employee, we're drilling it down further and further into actual employees. It's very surprising to me that 36% of the injuries or exposures in the office are due to hazardous chemicals, because I would have thought it would have been something else. Make sure that your falls, slips, and trips are taken care of. That happens quite often. We have businesses where people are doing actual hands-on work and they're turning wrenches Well, what do you think is gonna happen to their wrists after years of doing this? They're probably gonna wind up needing surgery, so give them breaks. Find ways to reduce that load, give that job to somebody else for a few hours, let them switch off so that they're not doing that repetitive motion so much. For emergencies in your office, what do you do if you have a fire drill? Where is the exit in this building right now? Does anybody besides me know? Well, what about the other exits? So if somebody was coming in the front door and I yell at you we need to leave right now, ladies and gentlemen, where do we go? That way, not out where they came in. So when I go into businesses, the first thing I do is I look for exit doors and a big fat exit sign right there in front of me. That's my nature. So look for those. Do you have a safety plan? If you don't, you should have one. You should get one. Do your employees know where all the exits are? What about, like I said, the new employees? They are not told usually in a lot of their orientation classes what to do if something happens. So you have a muster point. So we had a fire alarm safety thing a couple of years ago in one of our buildings, and several people went to the correct muster point and a bunch of people went to the wrong place. And we have to, you have a clipboard, we have to account for everybody that was in the building. We couldn't account for half the people. We didn't know where they were. They were on the other side of the building at the other place that was not a muster point. So make sure that everybody knows where the muster point is and put it on a map and put it in your office. And go through it once a year or twice a year or something to make sure that everybody knows where they should go. Do the pretend fire drill so people know where to go. Do they know how to use a fire extinguisher? You would think that everybody would know to pull the thing and push not so, not when there's an emergency. So you might want to do some fire training or have a fireman come to your building and show people how to do it. They have different ratings on fire extinguishers. Make sure you're using the one that is correct for your office. Do you have smoke detectors? I think all office buildings have to have them now. Is that true? When you got this? No, really? Okay, well, they should have them. Smoke detectors. You are required to install them in every stairwell. They should be installed within 10 feet of any cooking appliance, so stoves or microwaves. How many times have you been to an office where somebody cooked popcorn and they let it burn because they did not check the timer? Yeah. Smoke detectors carry a tag showing the last maintenance date. How many of you change your batteries in your smoke detectors?
When it starts beeping.
You're supposed to check them twice a year.
I
know. Daylight savings time
Batteries.
is a good time to remember.
I know someone whose smoke alarm seems to go off every time their husband goes on a hunting trip. And this person is scared to death because it is so loud and all it does is scream the whole time. Yeah, so check them often. They should be located in every room or in hallways at least, so you can get notification something is happening before the smoke gets into your room. If you have an upstairs office building or house, I would recommend you have several on several floors, not just one.
I have a comment about that.
Absolutely.
So Saturday, some of y'all know, some of y'all don't know, my youngest son is autistic. And he's 22, but anyway, he's highly functioning, but he has high anxiety issues. Well, Saturday, I was in Hampton, my husband was at work, my middle son was home, Alex, and our 2 dogs. And Alex came out of his bedroom, and he could see the smoke in my house, billowing down the hallway towards him. Never heard them.
Oh my gosh.
So luckily Alex was home, because Alex usually isn't home. But Alex was home, he got Andy, they got the dogs, and they got out and they called the fire department. But Andy's wearing his headphones and he was yelling and screaming and gaming. Never heard it. So make
That's
sure
a
your
really
kids do, something, because
Yeah, they need something that will,
yeah.
because I'm
Andy
thinking
was
of my
close.
son too, he can't hear anything.
So
Yeah.
for Christmas, I'm getting him a
Strobe light. Yep.
strobe light
Oh,
as
okay.
one. Because that's what who can't hear, they have strobe lights instead
Yeah.
of the beeping.
Yeah,
So get
it's
one
crazy.
of those.
If they look
Yeah.
away from the monitor. The boys.
Well, but
That's
if you
true,
put it,
yes,
you
the
know,
strobe
so
light
that
would have
it's-
been my answer as
Hopefully
well.
they don't miss that. I mean, how would you miss it?
So how many of your offices actually offer CPR training? So, not everybody does. Some hospitals here locally will actually teach you CPR for free. Centera does. If you want to be certified, then that's an extra charge or a charge, but they will do the actual presentation, the whole 9 yards for free if you ask them. So you don't have an excuse not to have your employees trained in CPR. And of course, if you can afford it, an AED would be an excellent thing to have. Does your office actually pay for your employees to take CPR training? Some do and some don't. So I'm not gonna harp on CPR a lot, but everybody needs to know how to do CPR. Have some family members who did not know, and their sister, who was in her 70s, choked to death because they did not know how to help her. You do not want that on your conscience. If you're not CPR trained, you should consider getting some training. What other hazards do you have in your workplace? Could be electrical, could be lots of other things. But have you thought about training your employees for the active shooter for a second? Do you have a plan for that? Do you know where everybody should go? Do you have things that will lock your doors on the inside so people cannot get in to get to you? Do you ever practice the run, hide, fight drills? If you don't, you should. If you never ran a drill, give me a call. I can give you some information on doing that. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you would be to get something that, like a door stop, that you can put under the door that will at least stop them a little bit from coming in. If they have a firearm and they, are coming no matter what, you need to do what you need to do. That's a whole nother class. But things to block the door would be the excellent idea. What do you have that you can fight with? Fire extinguisher. You can actually use the fire extinguisher. So you would actually pull the pin and spray them if you have to, and then you have to hit somebody. You do what you got to do. You can use letter openers, ink pens, flower vases, whatever office furniture you have to use if they get to the point where they have broken into the barrier or the room that you're in and you have nothing else to do but fight. Find the office equipment to use. So, as you can see, I am all about safety, making sure people are safe in their daily lives, no matter whether it's at home or at work. I have online programs. If you're interested in getting in touch with me about any of that, you've got my business cards, you can let me know. My company is Forward Safety Training. You can find me on all of the social platforms. I am everywhere. My email is forwardsafetytraining@gmail.com. So have that too. And thank you very much for having me. If you have any questions about anything that we went over yet? Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So I know you were talking about the security equipment. Is there anything recommended?
It's really on a case-by-case basis, depending on what kind of office space you have. There's nothing wrong with some of the equipment that you can buy at Best Buy or, a local retailer. But again, if